This is part two of a two-part video, and yesterday part one was all about these right here. That's the thumbnail that went up with yesterday's video, and it's all about the University Golds and the reds. Very hard, solid block colouring with some tiny little white outline details, and then we flip it off to today's thumbnail, and you see it's almost exactly the same, but everything's inverted. Instead of it being block solid colours, these are very, very white or light grey shoes, and then the colour comes in the same place where the white was in yesterday's shoes, only in the detailing and the thin lines, and it hits accents is the word that they're going with, accents of green and bright orange on these shoes today. So that's why I thought I'd split this pack up into the two from yesterday and then the two today. But who knows, maybe there's more than just four, because this whole first use line seems to be having a little trickle out effect, and that's one of the biggest stories of the shoe, is the trickle out effect, because they should be hitting us hard and fast with a massive marketing campaign. And my theory is, my personal opinion is, that they aren't, because these shoes are running at least 3 weeks late, if not more. Now, our good friends over at Sole Supplier in the UK, one of my favourite places to go to get information about shoes, especially upcoming releases, they have it as July the 6th for the drop date of all four of these shoes. But I haven't seen the drop date anywhere else. Places like Sneaker News or Kicks on Fire or High Snobriety or Sneaker Bar Detroit, any of these places that usually have the greatest and most current information aren't giving me a drop date, because most of those places I think are America-centric, and I don't see these guys getting to America by July the 6th. But they are scheduled to be in the UK and probably Europe as well. That's where Sole Supplier are in the UK for July the 6th. But, another but, they say right on the side, first use June 18th, 1971, because it's the 50th anniversary year of the swoosh logo. And I can't for the life of me believe that these shoes shouldn't have dropped 3 weeks ago on June the 18th, 2021, to celebrate exactly 50 years since the drop date. Now, there's massive confusion in the ports in the south of China, because some of them have shut down due to clusters of the pandemic. And as soon as one major port shuts down, the whole system of shipping across the world basically falls apart, because there's a domino effect. If this boat can't come in and that boat can't come out, then the next one can't come in, next one can't come out, and you've got this stagnant effect where shipping just freezes up, gridlock style, if you imagine roads and traffic jams and gridlock, but instead with shipping. And because mostly the products coming out of Asia, where most of the Nike shoes are made, have to get to North America by sea. There's no other way to transport that amount of goods. Air just isn't an option. Whereas in Europe and UK and places like that, there's land routes that they can use to transport the goods. That's why I think they're coming to Europe a little bit earlier than North America. I don't think it'll be July the 6th in North America. I do think it'll be July the 6th in Europe. But being in Japan, which is very close to the neighborhood where these guys are made, but as an island nation still relies on shipping to get the goods, I don't know which it's going to be for us here, whether we'll get them for that July the 6th drop date or it'll be late like North America as well. But that's kind of the background to the shoe, the sort of story of the shoe. It's a little bit sad, but I was saying in yesterday's video, it's kind of sad for the boys over at Nike, except for the fact that they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and if they don't get one drop in the right place that they wanted to get to drop, so they take a little hit on their sales. But I'm sure it was planned for June the 18th, and it would have been a massive thing, not just these shoes, but a massive story of the sort of 50 years of the swoosh. And they do still build it into the shoes. I've already talked about that place down on the lateral where it says first use June 18th, 1971. But they also do it on the back of the tongues, and here's a little look at the back of the tongues on one of these guys, where you can see the little paragraph in there that talks about these shoes being in honor of 50 years of that swoosh logo, and that's unique. One of the unique features that's on all four of the shoes. Now, these shoes, though, I'm going to actually start with the materials. Yesterday it was the materials, was the last thing I talked about, and I'm going to start off with the materials today because they are so different. Their colorway to yesterday's shoes, but they're very much the same in terms of their structure, texture and materials used, and it's great to see it. I think on the toe today. Yesterday I looked at the heel to give you an idea of those two materials that are at play here, leather and soft suede, but I think I'm right in saying the toe actually on today's shoes gives you a better feel for that, and you'll get an idea of what I mean about them being a white base and maybe, just maybe, light grey for those swoosh suede parts. And I said swoosh, the soft suede parts I think are more of a light grey than actually white, and like I say, I think it's on the toe box that you see that comparison between the leather and the suede, but you also get an idea of the materials that are used to make these guys. Colorway very different from yesterday, materials and structure very much the same. And speaking of the same, my favourite point on the shoes is we'll go into the heels. As the heels is a really neat little place to see how the medial and the lateral swooshes are playing off in a different way. The lateral swooshes on all four of these shoes are in an outline of the swoosh, which is harking back to the OG swoosh of 50 years ago, but then the medial or the inside swooshes are full and blocked out in the colourway of the shoe. In the case of the green ones, obviously green, and then the bright orange ones bright orange. And then when they meet at the heel, they don't meet at the heel because the outline lateral swooshes don't quite make it all the way around to the back of the shoe, whereas the medial side filled in swooshes do make it all the way to the back of the shoe. And I love that detail. I love the fact that they haven't tried to cram them together in a way that wouldn't be natural for what they are, the OG swoosh and then a more contemporary swoosh. So I'm very much a plus on what they've done with the swooshes. Very much a plus on what they've done at the back of the shoe, where they do not meet around the heel. Now, speaking of the back of the shoe, let's go to the front of the shoe and look at one of the biggest things on these guys, which is the fact they're not going with dubres, but they're going with mid-lace lace stays, and there's a real splash of gold in there to give it some bling, and then right on the bottom edge of the swoosh, where the swoosh curves around, there's a little diamond-esque feature in there. I'm sure it's not an actual diamond, but it's very much bling bling right in the middle of the laces, instead of being a dubray down at the bottom of the laces. And I think that's to do with the two lace structure that they're going with here, which reminds us very much of the Sakai line and their waffles and blazer mids, and you see the two different colors in the laces, and I think because of that they need that extra little bit of support right in the middle of the lace system, a lace stay there to keep that intact. And then if we go back from that, one of the things that's interesting about these guys is up on the top of the tongues you can see the kind of OG styling of the branding up there, but what they haven't done is given them the same color swooshes as their colorway. Yesterday we saw that with the University Gold and the reds, that they had matching swooshes at the bottom of the tongue branding, but in the case of these guys you can see that they don't match the color of the swoosh on the tongue branding with the colorway of the shoe itself, which I think is a bit of a letdown. And then back from that we can have a look on the inside of the insole as well, and you see interestingly in there some of that OG styling for the branding that goes on the insole of these guys. Another place that's slightly different between these two shoes, but also between these two shoes and yesterday's two shoes, is that the University Golds had an almost semi-translucent gum sole. The reds had a red outsole, and then these guys, it looks like they both have white, but they don't actually. It's the orange, I think, has a good solid white outsole on them, but I think I'm right in saying it's white, and I think I'm also right in saying that the green actually has more of a sail feel about the outsole instead of being a pure white feel to that, or they might both have a sail feel, but either way it's definitely a little bit of a difference in the colour that they go with on the outsoles on these guys. So it's not like yesterday's full-on colour on the upper as well as on the outside outsole. You can see that's definitely been sort of traded out for more neutral monochrome colouring, if you know what I'm saying. And I think that's pretty much everything about these shoes. So like I said, it's 4 shoes, 2 yesterday, 2 today, but I'm expecting more to come from this first use line, but it's drip 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 instead of being like a whole day. Like they have like the Nike Air Day, where they just like splatter out tons of shoes. I think there's Air Max Day as well, where they splatter out tons of shoes, and I'm sure these would have been a big day on June the 18th where they brought out a bunch of different first use silhouettes and colorways, but again, because of that, you know, trouble with the shipping, I don't think they've made it to that June the 18th date because of that, and therefore they're going to come in dribs and drabs instead of coming all as a big oneer to sort of celebrate that 50 years since the swoosh. And I think that's it. I think that's everything for the shoes. It's hard to remember everything. I always keep my iPad below the camera so I can remember the stuff that I want to talk to you guys about, because I do research these videos every single day before I actually stand up and talk about them. And I think I've covered all the details on the shoes. So for now, I think it's time just to wrap this one up, sign off, and just remind you guys that they're saying in the UK, July the 6th is the drop date. Haven't seen them here in Tokyo, Japan, and I don't know if that means they're not going to make it to North America by July the 6th or not, but we'll keep an eye out on all the different places, especially the sneakers app, and see when these guys are coming down the line. For now though, it's time to wrap up another video and just finish up another one of these daily drops every single day. I've lost track again. I should keep a better track of it, but we're probably about 940 consecutive days, so getting close to that 1,000 consecutive days on YouTube mark. But with that being said, it's time to wrap this one up. But because I do this every single day, I get to say the same thing at the end of every single video, which is you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.